Hello, everyone. Welcome to Locked in the Podcast. Today, I'd like to welcome Café con Jimmy, or to those who speak English, Java with Jimmy. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. I'm humbled and excited to be here. And I think the humble thing is just to like spend time and sit with you and really, you know, converse and whatever you want to ask and talk about. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. I really am.
I appreciate it very much. I
Yes,
know
sir.
you like can be very busy, hectic, especially running your own podcast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what did the name Java with Jimmy come about? How did that come about?
Honestly, on March 24th of 20, I don't know if you remember Governor Baker, who was the governor at the time.
Right.
He was like, hey, yo, with what's going on with this virus, you all are going to need to stay home, like stay in the house. And I was going live for a few days before that, had a history of going live for some years. And literally on the 23rd was the press conference. And on the morning of the 24th, I literally got my coffee off the Keurig, went and sat down at my desk and put up my iPhone and went live to warn our community about, what was happening with COVID.
Wow.
And at the time, there was no title. I just was a community person that worked in medicine and in mental health in the past. And what we saw happen with COVID, something just told me that it was going to happen. And so when I thought about it, people were hitting me up like, yo, you got something there. And every kind of day after, I kind of went live with my cup of coffee. And so I knew Java meant coffee.
Right.
And I honestly don't remember the exact process, but I remember settling with Java with Jimmy. And I'd run my mouth over coffee.
You are very passionate about your community for you to have to go on live, get on camera, and express how you feel about what's going on. What was the first thing you kind of warned the community about?
It was COVID. It was
okay.
COVID, along with a lot of people didn't understand addiction. Governor Baker was shutting down salons, barbershops, different venues, but not liquor stores. And a lot of people did not understand.
Wow, I actually did not know that.
Yeah.
And I was out on the street driving the whole time. I'm not gonna lie to you.
And we're coming up on that time. This is this is the end of February.
Yeah.
And we're coming up on like 6 years of that. But one of the first things, generally it was COVID, but one of the first things was saying, hey, you don't understand that if people are addicted to alcohol and you take that from them right away, alcohol is a mental health. Addiction is a mental health thing, but alcohol and some substances, if you just take that right away from people, they can go into shock, they can go in withdrawals and all that. And so that was one of the first things. I think the other thing was simply that we did not know what this virus was. And because I worked in nonprofit, I knew that when people were going to stay home, child abuse was going to go up, sexual abuse was going to go up, domestic violence, was going to go up. So those were sort of the things that not really knowing at the time, good question, not really knowing at the time, those were some of the first things that I just had inadvertently in me because of my work in nonprofit for years. And so it was the addiction, understanding why the governor said what he said, and then bracing our community for what I just had this feeling that COVID was going to
really have a big impact.
Huge impact.
Wow. So you just said that you owned a nonprofit. Tell me a little bit about that.
I didn't own one. A lot of people have encouraged me to start one because the nature of my work, when you mentioned the passion about community,
right.
The nature of my work is community. But, nonprofit, it just has a lot that comes with it. I've worked in nonprofit, and I'll count my time as a peer educator back in Bromley Heath. From about the age of 11, I've been around nonprofit in the helping field. And so I've worked from being a youth advocate, intensive adolescent services provider. Basically, I've had the DYS side of things, and then now they call it DCF side of things. I was a training specialist for youth workers. I I'm trying to think what else. I was a program manager in youth work as well. So nonprofit is, I believe, what based me in understanding my community, along with my own life experience, to take it away from myself and advocating for and seeing what our community deals with. I definitely think it informed this evolution of Java with Jimmy.
So is there any specific one of those causes that you named that like sticks out to you the most that you feel very compassionate for?
Callings?
Well,
When you said
the causes.
Oh, the causes.
Yeah.
Causes and kind of good. Causes and calling. I think the main thing, and I don't want to be deep and simplify it for you, but the main thing is equity. Meaning that, I learned this from Stephanie Everett, who's our county registrar. There's equality and then there's equity. And equity is the thing that looks at everybody at where they are and tries to level the playing field. And so some of the main causes around equity are definitely Black and brown rights to economic development. That is a major thing for me. But one of the things that I'm well known for is violence prevention. That when you talk about consistency, longevity, ever since I was a teenager, and what will trigger me to act, very aggressive, is when it comes to violence prevention. If I sense BS or people not doing what they should do to prevent and respond to prevent, intervene, and respond to issues of violence, that's the one. That's the one. It just sort of hit me as I was talking, because the thing about economic development, if you look at violence, a lot of it comes from people dealing with poverty,
Right.
having to hustle. What did Biggie say about he was just trying to feed his daughter, but he was out on the block? If you address poverty and I believe help Black and brown people come up and decrease this racial wealth gap, it lends to the violence. And so, but the main thing to answer your question is it is violence prevention. That's the one that I've been most consistent in, and again will, without question, when things go wrong in that space, I've been known to kind of turn up a little bit.
Get super overly passionate on the part, huh?
You said it, super overly passionate. That's a good. I don't know if some of the people who's felt it would frame it like that, but yeah, because that's lives, bro. That's and that just for me is someone who survived, homicides and trauma,
Wow,
and all of that, and have known people who unfortunately have contributed to taking people's lives. It's definitely a space that, you got me up here, my foot's moving, and so you tapped in to that space. Absolutely.
All right, and for someone that hasn't seen your show before, can you tell me a little bit about what it's about?
It varies. It is, again, not to oversimplify, versus being overly passionate, as you said. It's an equity, bro. It's equity for me. It is everything from calling out system constraints in government that don't let us, decrease the wealth gap. It's definitely health-based. I have a segment called Your Healthy Java, through a partnership that was with one of the hospitals. It's a space that's definitely authentic. It's a space where you will hear from, quote unquote, high level elected officials. It's a space where we talk about mental health. It's a space where we talk about men and men's health, and men's mental health. We talk about the wealth gap. We talk about marginalized communities. And a lot of times, when you hear equity, you think Black, brown, and women.
Right.
I talk about the LGBTQIA2S plus. I got to get that right, and I got to do better with that. And also what people classify as the ADA community. ADA is basically the Americans Disabilities Act, that like why you see increase in wheelchair access, but then also learning, bro, that like you and I could have a disability right here that is not physically appearing. You could be blind in one eye. I could have a learning disability.
Nobody
and
would
so
know.
Yeah, and so those unseen, I've been very intentional with that. But it really, to simplify, the answer. It is really about leveling the playing field for the most marginalized communities. Like my ultimate guest, I'm gonna say it slow, my ultimate guest would be a trans woman who is blind, that lost a limb, that speaks another language, that is dealing with a health issue. I'd hate for them to deal with the health issue. And the reason why I say that, and I see your face, the reason why I say that's my ideal guest is because you have right there in your face all of the intersections of their health issue,
Right.
the LGBTQ issue. I didn't say they would either, I think I said black or brown, trans woman. So you have the racial issue. You have, them dealing with poverty to some extent. And so that's like my ideal guest. When people ask, when I'm working with some partners around guests and they'll say, well, we're thinking about this person. I was like, the more marginalized, the better. And I know that may seem weird, but that's the goal of the platform, to highlight marginalized communities, and then also let people know that no matter what the difference is, at the end of the day, I cut you, you're gonna bleed.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that is a large part of the platform as well.
And don't mind my face.
Go ahead. I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I do the same, bro. I'm so expressive. So we got that. It's a little light skin thing.
Oh wow.
Go ahead, man.
I was gonna say, I actually know somebody similar to that description.
So at some point, you might need to connect me with them, because I got an award Friday and it talked about telling the story.
Oh, really?
And while I appreciate it from me, I received that award with the ability to tell other people's stories. And so to that point, connecting with someone like that is that for me, I'd be sitting on camera smiling. I hate what they go through, but for me, the benefit for my audience, there's a benefit for them to tell their story and people know them as a human despite whatever marginalization. But then my audience is getting to see how these marginalizations intersect, how people, despite what they're dealing with, are still, surviving, and then trying to get to a point of thriving. But maybe you need to interview them, after you get unlocked.
Did you ever think, when did you start to realize that your podcast was becoming bigger than what you thought it could be?
Honestly, no lie, 2 years into it.
Really?
And the only reason why I did, based on what you asked me about nonprofit, so I'm from the community, I worked in nonprofit. I did spend some time working in medicine. And I'll explain this for a couple of seconds. I worked on the admin side of a pulmonary, which is the respiratory, chest, and critical care fellowship. That fellowship staffs or trains the doctors that works in the ICU. Where were most of the patients during COVID?
In the house.
No, the patients.
Oh, the patients.
Yeah. What part of the hospital were they in mostly during COVID?
ICU. So
keep that point, from community ICU. Additionally, before the hospital, I worked for Mayor Menino.
Oh, really?
I was a Fed for a while at the Department of Health and Human Services at the federal level. And then I also was an advisor and a member of Governor Patrick's team around anti-crime, and then also the Youth Council. And so 2 years into it, I'm sitting at my desk, and randomly it hit me. You're from community, you worked in medicine, and you worked in government. 2 years of having conversations with mayors, doctors, and people from community working in the hospital made me, at least on an entry level, apt to ask questions about healthcare, respiratory, COVID, cardiology, all that stuff. Being from community definitely informs everything at the baseline. But then working in government, I worked for the federal government, in state government, and also for Mayor Menino. I don't know if you remember.
No, yeah, I remember.
Okay.
He used to be my neighbor. He used to live
You
right
up in
down the
Reedville?
street.
Up in
Yeah.
okay. Not to put out your
right off
hood
River
out
Street,
there,
yeah.
but yeah. So So you had an idea of how he operated. And so I learned a lot about government. I learned a lot about systems. Healthcare from the hood, government, those are kind of three major components of my platform. 2 years into it, it hit me that, oh God, it almost sparked an emotion that, healthcare didn't work out. I thought I was going to be a nonprofit until the last nonprofit I worked at one day came in and said, "Today's your last day." Oh, really? Because I was standing up for
Really?
Black and brown men's rights. Yeah, their loss. But that 2 year, it just hit me, that 2 year period, that my path, though sometimes was rocky, it led to me being impactful, in this space. So you sparked an emotion. That's a good interview.
You know, and also I want to piggyback off of, you said that you interviewed and had little conversations. Well, not little conversations. Apologize for that.
You're good.
With important leaders.
Yep.
So how were you able to build that trust with them?
I don't think no one's asked me that before. Trust versus relate. So to answer your question, that trust is there because of relationship. From community, I've worked hard to get a lot of these people elected before the platform, but more with the platform. And they know that if I'm aware of, first, if I can be helpful to them in their mission, but then also all of them know that there's a level of accountability. So I think when you ask, no one's ever asked me about trust before. When you talk about, trust, I think it's because they know they can be real with me as human beings. Like when they come on the platform, the first question I ask is, Mayor Wu, Michelle, Ayanna, I'm sitting with the governor tomorrow. It's going to be Maura. As a human, how are you doing? And I think for the electeds, and that I think helps humanize them to the public. They appreciate that. But I think more so, bro, it's what goes on off the camera. All of those people I named get, emails, phone calls, the governor more maybe through other people. But there's the ongoing relationship and communication that I have with them, that when the camera goes off, they know that I'm going to follow through if there's an accountability issue. And they also know, sometimes very much unsolicited, if I'm hearing something on the ground from community, I'm like, hey, y'all need to be aware that this is a buzz that people are concerned about, so it's I guess through relationship that they have that trust of me. And I think more importantly, though our community is not a monolith, and though I'm not talking about everybody that watches Java with Jimmy, a majority of the people have trust in me, and I don't take that lightly. I don't always interview the way everybody wants me to. I'm not always as rough and tough on elected officials. But I think, to your point, that was a good question. To your point about the trust, is they know that they will come into this space with hospitable accountability, and they can trust I'm going to be real, but I'm not going to be at them, versus asking a question with the passion that you see. But it doesn't accomplish, in this space, it doesn't accomplish a lot of the rah-rah of asking a question to get a real answer. If they can't see past the rah-rah, our community doesn't get the answer. So that's sort of my approach to keeping trust with them.
And that says a lot, because you'd imagine you being an important figure, especially within our community in Massachusetts, that it's really easy to edit any kind of footage just to paint a bad picture.
Yep. You actually helped me with something about the editing in the live. We were talking
really?
about, yeah, because I think what I said to you was, I don't like editing. But what you said to me was, the live keeps the authenticity, because I don't edit that much and break nothing. So you actually just helped me with like staying with that, because I was going to get into it. Some things I will edit, like put on YouTube and like make it all pretty and whatnot. Right. But no, you just helped me with the fact of staying with the live keeps the authenticity with the guests. And so some people may say that's a no-brainer, but yeah, because we don't edit anything out that was said. You know what I mean? So good luck. Good luck.
Already. And are there any other pathways that you ever thought about taking on your platform, that different subjects or?
Yeah, like I cook. Like I have a hashtag called Java with Jimmy's Kitchen. Um, I have some sub brands. Your Healthy Java, which we focus on all aspects of health. I have Java. I'm gonna say that for last. I have one that I haven't tapped into a lot that I really need to tap into is called Black Java, no sugar, no cream.
Mm.
And you know, Black Java, no sugar, no cream. It's just about. And then the last one is Java After Dark.
After dark.
Yeah, I'm about to explain. So, you know, during the day, regular Java with Jimmy, I have a cup of coffee, and, you know, it's in the morning at 10 o'clock.
Right.
Java After Dark, espresso martini. You might hear a few four-letter words. We've had sexual conversations from a preventative side of preventing STIs and whatnot. But we've had some very provocative Java After Dark. I'm just going to keep it real. It's like you're ratchet, not ratchet, but like it's the unfiltered.
Right.
But we've gotten ratchet and made some jokes and stuff in there.
And quick question, not to cut you off.
Go, you good.
Are you still able to monetize that?
So, good question. The platform itself has monetized. The biggest monetization is within healthcare, with entities that want a deeper reach into community. The After Darks and them don't necessarily monetize. Like I'm not monetizing on YouTube.
Right.
Facebook sends a little check every now and then because that's the biggest active platform that I'm a part of. But the After Dark, I haven't moved into a Budden or Noriega yet. Drink Champs and Joe Budden.
Right.
That is a goal, but I guess the only thing that I will only go but for so far with the ratchery. There are people that have that niche, and and it's no judgment. It's just that that's not my calling. My calling is, you know, information, awareness for people to mobilize and take advantage of that information and resources and then move them toward action. We do pop culture and some of the ratchery for some of us as an outlet, like Quiet as Kept. I keep up with what's going on with baddies.
Okay.
On Zeus.
I actually never seen a single episode of that. I think I was locked up for it.
It depends on where you might get distracted on a few levels, but then on the other, my boy helped me with this because I felt bad. You know, I'm spending $70 a year to watch ratchery. But for some of us that move in this space a lot, we need outlets. And, you know, I haven't been able to go to Miami like I like. So Sunday nights at about 6 p.m., I'm on Zeus looking for the next episode of Baddies because it's like my point is there that all aspects of this has its place, and those that monetize around the ratchery, shout out to them, and those that monetize a little less on our side around like positive and whatnot, because my type of platform isn't a clickbait platform. Unless I'm on screen going off on somebody, oh my God, then everybody's liking, sharing, and giving a lot of energy because and which I don't understand why that attracts. So I do monetize, but not in a manner that like After Dark has like, I don't know, Hennessy or whatever hitting me up talking about, you know, we want to sponsor you because you got 2 million followers. Not yet. Not yet. It's coming, but not yet.
Speaking into existence.
Yet. Let me find out you got it. Where's that found? No, sir. Speak those things that are not as though they were. Come on, sir. You got to manifest on that metaphysic type level.
You know, the comments, whenever you go on live, do they ever get overwhelming? Especially having to read them on live. Like, I always watch Kai Sinat's, I don't know if it's a stream or a podcast before I got locked up. Mm-hmm. You would just see the comments just.
So I don't allow the platform that I use to stream, it does now allow the comments. I never check that because of the nature of the people I have with the electeds, because of the subjects that I talk about. Mm-hmm. There's potential, and it happened today on IG when I've had like Ayanna Presley on. Oh God, when I have Mayor Wu on, the racists in Twitter, really? They're in there like, and so I don't show them on the show. But as I said earlier, like the screen is right here. and to the right in the app, I can see the comments. And every once in a while, I'll look over and like I'll see one that either pisses me off or distracts me. Certain guests, I don't even look at the comments because I know, like, I like to engage, and I know it will throw me off. Like today, I looked at a couple of the guests when Ayanna Presley was on. I looked at a couple of comments rather when Ayanna Presley was on, but most of the time I was centered in on her. So to answer your question, even not seeing them on screen for the public, I still see them. And yes, sometimes it does get overwhelming because I have to acknowledge that people are engaging, pay attention to what they're saying. But for example, comments are 17 seconds behind. Then if they're talking and I give a little bit of commentary, I'm like 3 minutes behind. So when I go look at the next set of comments, I'm behind, and I'm realizing that it just messes with the conversation. So that's something I just realized like literally 2 weeks ago. I timed it. I was like, wow. So it is overwhelming to me, the host, versus, you know, letting the audience go free for all in the comments. Because I'm afraid sometimes people will be offensive. And then some of my audience, they'll
let it off.
They'll clap back. My mother, for one. Somebody said something one day and she started off, "That's not nice. We're wonderful in here." And I don't remember her exact words, but by the time she got to the third comment, my mother was about that life. You know what I mean? So I don't want that engagement on a negative level on the platform.
Well, I can respect the fact that you don't let it get to you like that either. Because I know me personally, I might have to turn that comment section off.
It gets to me. You know? It's after.
Oh, afterwards.
It's after. And it's not the strangers. You know what gets to me is the people that I've been in fellowship with, the people that I've worked for, broke bread with, advocated, and we built things, and they get on comments and start all that stuff.
Really?
That's the comments that to be very honest with you, that gets to me. Strangers, racists,
doesn't matter,
homophobes, misogynists, they are who they are. It's the comments that get to me, and not so much on the live. It's the I hate to say the word haterism, but here of late I realize that haters they're real.
Yeah, it's always the ones right next to you too, huh?
In the last 2 years, Jose, that reality, it changed it. It changed me. It changed me. I think for the good, but the process of it almost took me out of here. Like I changed a lot. And I think this is the first interview where I've really like admitted and yeah, you talk about trust. I'm not as trustworthy. I'm skeptical. I protect my peace at all costs. I question motives of people like I never have before. I'm a little more financially conservative. But those, getting to your point, the comments off the live are the ones that those are the ones that I gotta like take the high road and be the bigger person, you know.
Yeah, it takes a lot.
Like, sir, because there's a side of me that you know can clap very easily.
So, what do you think happens when people feel seen and heard, especially coming from an important figure coming on your podcast?
I struggle with the important figure. They feel exactly that. And what I mean by that, seen and heard, a lot of times with the noise of racism, misogyny, life in poverty, babies, mothers of your children, fathers of your children, relationships, money, to be seen and to be heard, I think affirms, one, the person's humanity, that despite everything that they're dealing with, that there's someone that wants to hear their story, that will promote and amplify their story. So people see the struggle, but also the accomplishment. And even if the accomplishment is in progress, seeing those individuals, I believe, are encouraged by being seen and heard, but so are you. you hear a guest and you identify with a struggle or something that they've been through and hear their success, you get a little more encouragement to be like, well, shit, well, I don't know if I can say that. If they did it, so can I. You know what I mean? So the individual, I think it builds their confidence. To be very real, for some, it builds their brand. I'll just be honest. But more importantly, it's the fact that someone is paying attention to them, either to their work, their life story, or their impact. I think that that is a huge part of being seen and heard.
And speaking on impact, what kind of impact do you hope your show to continue to make?
It's interesting because, as I mentioned, I started in COVID, and when our current administration, federally, I say wrong old dump, got back in the office, I felt that same call, just with the impact of what we see now, his policies and how he's coming after folks that look like us.
Right.
So I want to increase my impact in a manner that I'm looking at your setup, that I present in a manner like this. I want to have the proper team to help me do research. I want to syndicate. My goal is to do something with Revolt. So if y'all are watching, hi Revolt. I comment on y'all, every now and then. I want to increase not just locally, but regionally and nationally. I want to increase the knowledge around, if we aim for equity for Black and brown people, everybody comes up. And I haven't exhausted my local impact here in Boston, but I do. Boston sets a lot of trends and is almost a microcosm of other parts of the world. And so my goal is to, one day have my own platform. When you locked out, like, what would it be for me to be like, yo, I got a slot open on Friday nights at 11 o'clock. Either come live or you record and send me something. Like, I fight with it, but I want my own. Like, I want a Java with Jimmy Studios. I do. And it would be, I'll give 3 hours a week to the ratchery. But otherwise, it has to be community-based, health-based, mental health-based, financially based, cooking, some fashion, some stuff like that.
Our community would highly appreciate that, especially in these times. Like you said, we need less of the ratchetry, especially in this day and age, with everything just all negative. And everything you see on Instagram is just, I want to say, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a bunch of like first person syndrome, and
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What do you mean by first person syndrome?
So that's actually a term I learned in jail.
Okay.
It's like you're not presenting any of the negative aspects of your life, but you're only showing the positive, and it's not very healthy because coming from a third person's point of view is just going to show that their lives is perfect, and it kind of makes you judge yourself. And you know what I mean?
That's so deep. From, one of the first things I think about there is a lot of people talk about social media and the little girls that feel that they have to model themselves. Bruh, that's us too. I often open up Instagram and see dudes on there all buffed, and I'm like, it's a challenge, period. But I like that about the first person piece. And, we put on social media what we want. Like, and I think you may understand this from a content standpoint. Y'all see a minute reel that I put up. We talked about editing and stuff.
Right.
Y'all know that minute reel that you see me put up took me 90 minutes to get it right, to go back and forth and get the perfect ending and then make sure the music match. And so, it's a lot to do. But I think, to your point about, positivity and I guess it comes to, what's the end game of that first person presentation that people are making on social media? We don't, nobody wants to promote anything that's negative, but I think, why does showing a struggle, either you accomplished it or you're in the midst of it, why is that negative? You know what I'm saying? We as a society, we if we're not 100% perfect and every I is not dotted and every T is not crossed, that's an issue. I think it goes back to humanity because we are probably the most imperfect species that God created.
Right.
You know, so that was good. Like I like that first person piece versus what's really real.
Yeah, because I've had those debates with a few of my other friends on my unit, and they'll usually say, "Well, why would anybody want to post anything negative about their lives?" And I feel like that's a good point too.
It is, but it's like it's us as the consumers, bro. Because like as much as it's weird because we just talked about we'll consume Ratchery TV.
Mm-hmm.
You're helping me with something real time. We'll consume Ratchery TV when it's about somebody else. But we don't want to have that same display and have other people's observe our Ratchet. I'm walking out of here with a few nuggets today. That's dope. That is definitely dope.
So kind of to close off the interview, what's a piece of advice that you'd give to someone who wants to start something meaningful in their community?
My first gut reaction is pray. I'm not active in it, but I'm a brother of a Christian, spiritual belief. And the reason why I say pray is, if you're really in it about community, when the lights haven't been turned off, thank God. When you're cold for a couple of days because you can't get oil, where you can't go out, and my self-care is based in expensive food. I like oysters. I like all type of raw fish. I like when you can't do that for a few weeks, when you do get ridiculed in the comments by people that know you. The reason why I say pray first is because you have to know that you know that you know that you know that you're committed to this. And if you feel that it's a calling and a destiny, you'll have some affirmations to that. The other thing is, you want to evaluate whether what you're starting new needs to really be started. And what I mean by that is we have a lot of people that want to help community, and though they have a little bit of different way of doing it, to start something, to finance it, to maintain it is a lot. Maybe somebody right next door to you is doing something similar. Can you join yourself and add value to something that's already being built? Because starting a business, a podcast, an initiative, a community movement, I almost said something. That is not easy.
Right.
And so I would say pray. I would say be sure that you're bringing a different type of added value to whatever space. And then the other thing I would say is be intentional. If it's a business end, be intentional about your business. I am a businessman. And a lot of times my business end of things goes away because you got to have balance. Fourth thing, you got to have work-life balance. I often, as recently as for the past 3 weeks, January was supposed to be my month, and I'll shut up after this. January was supposed to be my month of resetting, redoing the website, forecasting the next rest of the year. Something happened in the Black community, and for the past, what's today?
The 17th, yeah.
For just over a month, guess who's been caught up in 3 or 4 hour calls a day and texts and the people that help put this together, Brother Cliff, he knows about the back and forth, and I'm on this and doing that, not being able to get, to him. Mm-hmm. I would say that you have to balance and stay focused. If you've prayed, if you still have done an evaluation and still feel that this is something that you need to start, and you get good work-life balance and be about your business, that impact is going to be there. And I will end with this. A lot of what you see here today ain't by no osmosis of doing everything right. I almost said something. Ninja, the way I'll say it is, it's been from falling flat on my face, bro, turning about as red as this thing, out mistakes, out of major mistakes. I guess the one thing that has allowed me now to be more impactful is the fact that I started to realize, okay, you keep doing it this way and you expecting a different outcome. They say that's insanity. And so those are the last things I'll leave you with: to pray, to ensure that what you're going to start is going to bring added value, have balance of staying focused. And if it ends up in a business, be about your business. Dot every I, cross every T, do your taxes on time. Who said that? And be willing. As much as we talked about trust, once people get past a certain filter and evaluation, be willing to accept help. That's
a big one for me,
brother. That because of lack of trust, and because of, and again, I think it goes a little bit of that light skin thing, because we think we can do everything, bro. We think we can do everything, and
it's that pride, man. I have high pride. My mom tells me that all the time.
And it's good. We should have a healthy sense of pride.
Yeah.
But when it gets us to the point where we don't feel like we can take help, or we need, not only take it, we got to acknowledge that we need it. And then when it presents itself, are we going to take the help? Man, please, we'll be here for another 2 or 3 hours. Can I come back?
Definitely.
And we could switch?
I'd like love that.
Okay, I'd like to interview you.
Oh, thank you.
I would. I'd like to hear some of your story and talk about your journey into sitting and doing this. So we're not going to, your producer is not going to get aggravated, and we switch this up right now. So I'll let you do what you need to do.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today, Jimmy. I appreciate you,
it, brother. Yes, sir.
All the game you gave us.
Yes, sir.
We're locked in.